Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to try and help out a viewer of mine, our channel, Mark. Mark has one of these. This is a Johnson Model 60, and this is a closed-faced spin casting reel that you mount under the pole, and it enables you to make the cast. To cast, you release the line by pushing this button in, and then when you crank, the button will come back out like a traditional closed-face spin casting reel. Well, I don't have mine apart, but Mark does, and so I think he's more interested in how it comes together than how it comes apart. But we'll show you both, and we'll see if we can't help him out along the way. One of the things I did, I'm not familiar with the reel. This should be fun, but there is a schematic that I was able to get off of the ORCA site. The ORCA is the Old Reel Collectors Association, and I'm a member, and they have a library of some of the reel schematics there, and I was fortunate enough to find one that had these in it. And this is your schematic. This one's for the 40, but the 60 is in there as well. They're all basically the same reel. And we'll see the burst diagram here, and that's what I would expect to see when I take the pieces and parts off. Well, let's get started. I'm going to try and remove this cone first. You pull it in a counterclockwise manner, and then it should just come off. There's two little impressions or dimples here, one on each side. And they kind of ride in a little track here. The track doesn't look that much different than a track on a pen squitter. Okay, next up then, I want to start by taking pictures. I have the burst diagram as a picture, but I want to take pictures too because, well, sometimes you get fooled along the way, and you think that you're going to remember how that went, and then, well, maybe it doesn't. One of the things I'm noticing inside here is a little metal tag here. So I want to see what goes on underneath there when I remove that. And then this is the side that's going to catch the line when you're in drive. So when you push in, it pushes it up and it retracts that pin. And when you turn, it'll bring it back down and that pin will come out. And that pin is what will gather the line on the spool. But you're going to need a couple of small tools for this. I still have those little wrenches left over from the other day. I'm hoping that one of these will fit. Let's try this one. There's a nut on here. Nope, let's try the other side. There we go. So that little nut is an 11/32. These were made in the USA, and they were made before the conversion of most machinery to metrics. So don't be surprised if you find that you need the USA SAE thread type stuff. All right, with that removed now, I want to remove the top plate, see what we have. Okay, here's your picture underneath. Mark, I don't know if you went all the way to the part of taking that spring off. If you did, that's kind of how that spring belongs. And then we have, oh, that's interesting. On this pin here, remember we saw one pin coming through the metal, and it looks like we have a press indent down here. So that's going to be splitting the uprights, if you will. That single lever or tag is going to go through the two tags here. Okay, looks like the next thing is going to be to remove a washer. When I remove my pieces and parts, they go to a parts tray. What I'm doing here is I'm kind of setting them up by the sub-assemblies that I took off. And now I think this one, if I look on here, this is a full swing item which kind of travels all the way through, so it looks like that's probably connected to the handle. One of the issues on this reel is that handle is bent back. We'll try to just take care of that while we service this reel. Well, if you like these types of videos, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting. And, well, we'll get an idea of whether you want to watch that video or not. Well, we're taking off the handle nut now, and this appears to be a reverse threaded nut. I'm probably turning all of this while I'm doing this. Yeah. Now let's try the traditional. Yeah, it seems to be a traditional thread. And this should be a screw pin. I'm trying to figure that out right now. Wow, it takes a lot of effort to get that little thing off. It does come off in a traditional sense. That is counterclockwise. With that off, I'm just going to lay that down for a moment, and then this is probably going to screw off as well. Okay, just checking my schematic. This one should just pull off. There we go. And then we have another nut underneath that. Let's see if I can find this wrench. This is a 3/8. Take that off. And we should be able to remove the handle. And one of the things I want to do with this handle is bent inward, so I want to bend that outward. Okay, next up then I want to remove that push button with the spring. Kind of untighten the collar. This should screw off. So here's your sequence. You have the push button. You have the collar with the rounded edge next. That's the nut. Then you have the gear that's interfacing with the main collar here. Now we should be able to push this whole assembly, top assembly, out. That's your pin. Now we should be able to pull the collar out. And this spring is inside that collar, so you want to pay attention to that. That comes out next. Then we have the collar is being held on by a nut on this side, so that's loose. Gee, okay. So it's going this way, if we're paying attention. And the nut. Then we have that little field goal thing. We have a washer on top of it, and then the washer, so this can be backwards now. We have a little waffle kind of a tension spring. Now we should be able to remove the spool. There's a little nut here that's threaded on, a washer. Then the spool. Then we have the rest of the assembly here with this, a drag washer and a little pressure washer. And then we have the little fork that's off of your main. So what's going to happen here is when we turn that back end of the assembly, it's going to pull down or push out. This is going to be your drag washer essentially and your release. Okay, I just want to make sure that the case is clean now, and then we'll go ahead and show you how to put it back together again. Okay, with the shaft reinserted, I'm now ready to reinstall the pieces. First part is that piece that goes inside the handles, the main gear shaft, and it's got that lever on it. And then I'm going to just kind of follow up. We've got a collar behind that. The collar, the fat side is down. The assembly is in. Next is a heavy metal washer. I guess we can hold all of this down. And we've got a friction washer. Then we've got the spool. I kind of hold everything together here. Spool goes on. There we go. Then we have a friction washer on the top. Then we have the collar. It's a screw collar. This pretty much works hand tightened. Next up we have the wavy washer. There's a groove here for that wavy washer. Kind of sits in it like that. And we have, for lack of a better term, my field goal post. That's going to press down on that, hold that in place as well. Then we have a smaller washer that goes on. That's going to hold the whole assembly in place. And then we have the nut that's going to tighten to that lower collar. And tighten that down if I can find the wrench. Okay, that should be the operational piece on this side. So let's come over to the back side now. Next thing we want to do is insert our cam, or drive shaft, or whatever they might call it. A little bit of grease onto that. Insert that in. Make sure that you have that spring below. I've taken the time, I went back to the schematic, I've taken the time to mount the post and the screw in the into the cap. On this side, we've mentioned before, when we do this, we want to split the goalposts with that tag. So we'll bring this through and eyeball it, make sure that it's split there. That was one of the things we encourage you to take pictures about. And we'll put our I think next thing we want to do is put the main gear, the secondary gear on. Make sure we put grease on that. And let's put the main gear on. Now I've cleaned this. I put a little bit of re-grease on it when I was on the phone before. And now we can tighten back down the nut that holds those assemblies in place. And now we should be able to put our button back on. And we can take our collar now, place that over the assembly, go to our parts tray and get the two screws that hold the collar in place. Okay, let's get that second screw in. Put the handle assembly on, see how we did. So it's a good lesson in disassembling and repairing fishing reels. You certainly want to take pictures of your progress along the way. You do have an out if you can find a schematic, and I was very fortunate to find the schematic on this one because, well, it's a reel from the early 1960s. I think this came out of the 1961 catalog. So this one's been around a long time, and a lot of times documentation gets lost. Well, it gets lost. Sometimes you wind up with a pile of parts and not many options. So I would encourage you, please take the pictures as you're working on your reels, particularly when it comes to the disassembly. Disassembly is easy. Putting it back together can be a problem from time to time. Okay, we got that on. Okay, put the handle nut on and tighten that down. So we saw how this adjuster is going to work on the inside. What we found out was that there's a rectangular clip on that fork, and as you move that adjuster, you're going to be moving the fork in and out. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's give it a test then. Push our pin in to release for casting, and let's just give it a crank. It resets. You can see the pin will gather the line now. Let's give it a crank. Turns nice and free and easy. Mark, I think we've got it. I think I've showed you how to do that. Again, if you have any questions, well, just contact me again, Mark. We'll see if we can't straighten you out. Clip goes back on. Case gets a brief little rotation. We're good to go. I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for all it is that you do to keep us safe. I truly appreciate your career choice, dedication to task, and what you do day in and day out. To everyone, have fun servicing fishing reels. Some of them are easier than others. Sometimes you get stuck. Go to your schematics to get unstuck. And well, if I can help you if you're stuck, leave a question in the comment section. I'll see if I can make that happen for you. To everyone, please have a great day. Enjoy your time on the water. Good luck fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.